Hello, everyone. It is Jett Tattersall here, and welcome to the Women in Pop podcast. It is so lovely to be here with you again. Now, before we start today's show, a brand new issue of Women in Pop magazine, that's issue 16. It's out now with Jennifer Lopez on the cover. Now, earlier this year, she returned to music with her first album in 10 years, This Is Me Now. And across 10 pages, we explore her career and how her belief in the power of romance has driven her music, but also created a kind of sexist trope that has allowed the media to dismiss her talent and achievements. We also have interviews with Griff, Ricky Lee, Upsall, Amber Louie, Texas, plus none other than Emily Wurramara on mental health in the music industry. We also celebrate 40 glorious years of 1980s icon Cyndi Lauper. You can buy your copy now at womeninpop.com/subscribe or in a news agency near you. Our aforementioned guest today is an ARIA-nominated AIR award-winning legend who has just released her second album, Nara, and her first since 2018. It is a gorgeous kaleidoscope of sound with everything from pop and electronic to soul and folk, an album to treasure, and she is here to tell us all about it. It is, of course, the wonderful Emily Wurramara. Emily, hello and welcome to Women in Pop.
Hi, Jett. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for creating and releasing this just delicious beast to us. It's a real sonic and lyrical cauldron in all the greatest witchy sense of the word. Yeah, talk to me. I mean, I'll get into the visuals later as well, but talk to me a little bit about the creation of this one.
So Nara was created over like a span of 12, 13 years. It kind of inspired and came to fruition when the house fire happened a couple of years ago. I guess I just like had this realization that when I had nothing, I actually had everything. And so Nara in my language, Warnindhilyagwa, because my people are the Warnindhilyagwa people from Grit Island and Biggerton Island and Gulf of Carpentaria, in Northern Territory. Nara in my language means nothing. And even though it means nothing, it has everything on there. And I think all the themes range across many things, I guess, that we go through as human beings on this earth. And so it's a very special rebirth of me into this new era and back into the music.
I love that. And I really, really, really love this notion of from nothing is everything. I guess there's almost that notion of the absence of chaos
Yeah.
a little
I
bit.
think it's like beautiful chaos, to be honest, because you
Mm.
need a bit of like a balance of both in order to understand and to be on the journey. You know what I mean? Like you need to have a good balance. And I think that this album like really has that. Like it has the good and it has the bad, but it celebrates all because it's all that makes up who I am now, if that, yeah.
That's so true. Do you, and I guess it comes as hopefully the older we get, the more comfortable we feel about who we are, and there's less imitation because there's more confidence with the so-called good parts and the so-called bad parts, and you realize, you know what, they're all parts, so that they're all worth singing about.
100%. I think the authenticity of self and the vulnerability of self is so powerful because when you're vulnerable and in a space, like, you can create your own space. Like, I find, like, I'm a bit of a fantasy, like, sci-fi person. And so, like, I love, wordplay and, like, imagery and being creative and things like that. But I find when you're creating your own world and your own portal, which is what this album is, like I always talk about it like it's a portal. Like it starts off with Midnight Blues and then it goes through this journey and you get to go and walk through these different portals of whatever may reflect your own life, but or whatever you translate that to, but it's taking you away from the world for a bit and creating a safe space to feel.
Beautiful,
Mm.
beautiful. I want to, just in case anyone hasn't heard it, I want to play gorgeous single Lordy Lordy, Tasman Keith. So here that is now. It's Lordy Lordy. That's a jam. Like, that is such a jam that has got such grit. And then I recently caught a clip of you performing it live. Like, this is such a track. Talk to me about the collaboration and this track and all, because it's got such grunt to it. It's gorgeous.
Well, Lordy Lordy is a lot of people, I guess we've dubbed it as like this protest club song, like the messaging around it. It's like Lordy, the chorus is Lordy Lordy, what do we do now? And you know, when this whole rebirth kind of creative idea came to life, Lordy Lordy was at the center of, I guess, that discussion, because that was the song that was like, I'm not here to fuck spiders, like I'm not here to muck around, like let's go. Like we can still, as an Indigenous woman, as a First Nations woman, I felt like really boxed into certain categories and to certain places where I wanted to break out, and I want to break out of that and be, you know, across the space, because that's what my music does. That's what my music is. It represents. And I think Lordy Lordy sonically takes people to another space where like they haven't heard me in this way, or, even Tasman Keith, the way he comes in with his like part and his verse, like there's this beautiful transition that I find is like, whoa, where did that come from? And I think that that's the beautiful thing about art and being creative and being an artist and music, is you can do that. You're allowed to. And I just want to be able to show that with this whole like, yeah, this music. And I think Lordy Lordy is a great track that kind of like, it's like let's go.
And there's quite a few moments on the album that have that, which we'll get into, but we have Let's Go, we have Smoky Lounge Bar, we have Reflective Drive Home. And you're right, because it's still very much you, but it feels like, and I know this sounds trite because I know a lot of albums get put out this way, but I can really hear it in this one. It's like, oh, this is the you album.
Yeah.
You
A
know,
hundred
like this is what
100%.
you like and what you listen to, and when you're away from insisting yourself as a songwriter and music maker, this is you on the long walk home from the studio, what you're listening to.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some some places, like I feel like with songs, they're attached to memories or like moments. These songs I find are attached to many memories and many moments that will bring up things. Like I find like even myself, like listening to songs that I wrote when I was like 15, like, I think Magic Woman Dancing is the oldest song on that track, and that was written when I was like in high school. And it's like listening to that and then listening to it now as a woman, like there's this growth that I see, but also it brings up stuff for me still where I'm like, oh, girl, like maybe you need to check yourself. Like,
We still haven't unpacked that. We have a song. We haven't
yeah, and
unpacked that
exactly.
suitcase.
100%. And I think at any point you can listen to these songs and it's like a moment where you can go, oof, all right, I felt that. Maybe I need to do some work, because that's what the whole journey is. Like starting from Midnight Blues, ending on Passport, like, you know, Passport is there's nothing wrong with being lonely. Like that's the last line you hear on this album. And it's like, for me, it's the most empowering, because sometimes the scariest part is being alone. And, like I'm very much an Aquarian, so I'm like introvert, extrovert. I don't know where I sit. So like that to me is a really powerful way to end, um, I guess not really this era, but the story in this chapter.
I do love that. And you're so right. It's the double-edged sword of alone time. You're like, wait, why am I alone? Does no one hang out? Oh no, I wanted this. Okay, sure. You are a real lyricist. I mean, you're an incredible performer and songwriter, but I feel like lyrics and language and words, it's the real chunk of your writing.
Thank you.
You dip in and out with metaphors and brutal honesty, and there's a real mix. And I feel like the impact of your lyrics is really something. And possibly, as you just mentioned, with a song like Magic Woman Dancing, perhaps you don't even know what those words are cloaking, and until a lot later. And in the same case, what they could do for other people in the magic of the words. Sorry, that was a ramble. What I was getting at was, has that always been the case for you as a songwriter? Has it always been the power of the words or the power of the melody first?
I don't know. I just kind of like do what feels right. Usually, like for example, with Midnight Blues, like every lyric on that song is as it was when it was written. Like it's not changed from when it was written. I feel like I'm very much like that with a lot of my songs and a lot of my music. Like I won't think too hard because this is how I'm feeling, and that's really raw, and that for me is like real. Like I listen to artists like Tracy Chapman or like Corinne Bailey Rae or like, even NWA, like artists and poets who talk truth and speak truth. And there's so much power in that because then it inspires others to live their truth and not be ashamed of that. And I think that there's a difference between, showing up and writing a song for humanity. I don't know what that means, but showing up for people and community is what I try to do with my music and my lyricism. I think that's really important, like that we're giving back to our communities, but we're also bringing them along for the ride. Like I believe in like sustainability within self, but I also believe that within that it it kind of like follows on and flows on to inspire the community and then the next generation. And so by me like talking about these things and with my songwriting, like it's deep and it's very vulnerable, but I think that, you know, I don't know, I love it because it also helps me on like just to be the best version of me because then I'm looking inwards and I'm giving outwards, and I think that there's a beautiful reciprocation of energy that's being felt and love around that, and I'm feeling really, yeah, really good about that.
And you can definitely see that at your shows. It's a big old, even if it's someone's first time of seeing you, it is a big old family loving, like straight away. It's almost like everyone grab a seat on the floor.
Yeah, yes, bring your babies, like
Get yourself a plate of coleslaw over there and sit
yeah,
yourself
so
down.
true. Like, I couldn't have done this whole album without the community that I've built around me. Like the people that I've brought into my space are like family to me. And I think that, you really feel the sense of community that's on this album. Like there's choirs happening, there's like people screaming and having mental breakdowns on stay the fuck away from me. Like it's like real raw emotion that's captured, not just from myself, but from my community. And I think that really comes through when you listen to the album and the journey that it takes you, because you feel those emotions.
I want to play a track now that it's a bit of a slink, but it definitely creates a room. So this is Boom Biddy Bye. like when this appears on the album, I was like, oh, we're in a dive bar now. This is great. Like this is a real sloshing around in the mug, leaning into an ear. This is a really, really, really cool track. Talk to me a little bit about this one.
Yeah, thanks so much. So Bumpity Bye is just one of those fun ones that I was in Sydney. I think it was like my first time on Gadigal country, and I was just sitting there and I was like, just really salty about this person. And and it was interesting. And then I just kind of was like humming this little doon doo 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 doo, but it was much slower. So I wanted it to be like a ballad. But then I see my mum loves reggae, and like she's a big reggae hip hop like R&B chickie, like she loves world music. Like she just has a multi-genre love for music. Doesn't matter. And so Lucky Dube was a big like had some big plays in my household when I was younger. And there's this one song called Jerusalem that I really wanted to like, I don't know, because I feel like it's a protest song, like Jerusalem, the story around it and what he's singing about. And Boom Bye is kind of like a song where it's like, you don't need shit people, you don't need shit cunts. Like to put it straight to you, you
Another option
don't.
for the title. Yeah.
But yeah, you don't need that. And so bye little bitches. Like, like it's a full like standing in your own power and knowing what you deserve and what you're worth. And then there's also that like because at the end you kind of get sucked again into another portal of the song where it's like the lyrics change from we're stuck out here in here to like Sydney to stuck out here on Gadigal because you're seeing things for what they really are and what they really truly are. Because Gadigal is the traditional name of Sydney, the Aboriginal name for the Eora people. And I think that that's really special, like, is when you have to go through these moments of cloud and darkness and like confusion, and you come out and you come to the realization that maybe it was your environment, maybe it was the people that you're surrounding yourself with that you need to say bye to.
I love it. And we all need that anthem. And you know what? I loved your connection as well between protest, which we always imagine is such an external thing, protest in heart and protest in self, and having that personal connection to it. I think that's really beautiful. And everyone needs a march, but this is a real slink of a march. It's great. It's really hot. It's gorgeous.
Thank
Um,
you.
you have like we were saying before, like a real wide range, of course, of influences and pockets of you on this album. Was there ever an intention, or was there ever possibly a concern that you were like, oh, am I still me? Is my unique voice not like because it was always you, but more like is the voice is the Emily Wurramara that people know, is that still here? Or did you just go, no, I'm good, I've got this?
I just always knew that, I don't know, like I just really wanted to show, I guess, a lot of people who said that I couldn't, that I can, and I just did.
Yeah, you did.
And so it was kind of like I went into these sessions. Some of these songs were written over time, and so I just kind of knew that I had them, like that I didn't have to worry because I had a solid team that had my back. I don't know, I just had this like huge immense belief in myself where I was like, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna feel everything and then I'm gonna smash it because I've got this. Like I didn't doubt myself in any way. And I think going in with that confidence kind of like set up a lot of really cool, I don't know, just cool things snowballing and happening within myself and for myself, but also like in my family, like in my community, in my music, in my team. Like I don't know, I just have this immense belief and I just do not really give a fuck what anyone thinks.
Has that, I know we spoke last time around mental health and particularly within the industry, and you came up in the industry very young,
Mm.
which I think any time you come up in the industry is a gauntlet, but one that you're possibly told you can't complain about because you're living the dream and shut up and sit down. I guess how do you see your personal strength and growth from your debut to where you're at now with the oomph of Nara?
I think I've just been through a lot in this industry and in my life that you kind of get to a point where you understand who controls the narrative and who controls your piece, and it's you. And so I think I've just gotten to a point now where I've allowed myself to accept and understand that we are supposed to go through those waves, and we're supposed to go with the like feel the ebb and flow of these emotions and the journey. But for me, I have like a main goal, like a big goal that I'm working towards, and that's, you know, at the heart of what I do is community, and keeping and bearing that in mind. You know, there's always going to be times when I'm not well to look after my community because I'm not well, and that's the reality, and not everything is my responsibility. But when I do have the time and when I do have the energy and when I do feel okay, then I find it like when I need those breaks, it's just to take a breather, it's just to re-energize, it's just to be grounded again, because you can get so all over the place. And so I feel like this journey, or whatever it may be, whatever it will be, like I know what it is to have nothing, you know, and I understand what it's like when you have literally nothing. And I find solace in like presence and people. And I feel like those moments and memories are what I value more and what I attain to be. Like, I want to be like an old lady around my grandkids telling them about these stories and these like adventures that I've been on, but also like how my music has helped people and how it's also like helping people on that journey to the best version of them that they can be, because it is about the collective with me. Like, it's nothing to do with like ego or self or conscious. Like, the self, I've just learnt to put that aside, because the picture, like, it's just much bigger of a picture than what it is. Like, and then we're just like adding the small details to the that make up the bigger picture.
That's incredible, and incredible in the sense like a lot of us would like to be there and you know, but it's a hard one to keep up. And I also like the fact that
Oh.
you've understood that it's actually not sustainable. You can't, I mean, we can barely hold ourselves together, let alone our immediate family, let alone a whole community. So to have gotten to a place now where not only are you a very successful and influential music maker, but you're also like a hero of your community and people. That's a big thing, even if it's you've taken the self out of it. And I wonder in the early stages, because you mentioned earlier about what it means to be an Indigenous artist in this country and representing, did you feel like almost you immediately had to carry that mantle?
I think most definitely. I think, but the thing is, like, about that is, you know, I wake up every day as a Black woman, and that's something that I can never change. Like, that's something that I'm immensely proud of. And so I felt like, you know, there's the tokenism that also comes with being a young Black woman singing in your traditional language. You get put in certain unsafe spaces and certain spaces that don't make you feel like you are allowed to just be. And I think learning and creating my own safe space with and taking back that power now and being like, actually, we got laws here, we got shit to do, we got shit, you guys got shit to fix up, you know, and that's not my responsibility. So I'm just gonna like keep doing what I need to do. but it's all love, I think. All love from this space because everyone is at their own stage of learning and unlearning. And I think, I'm trying to see from a human perspective, but I also understand that we've got to put in boundaries of what we are, I guess, like what we're worth and what we're deserving of. Like that's so important.
It's so important. And I just, again, I'm blown away that this is all coming from such an honest space, but an honest space with such a swagger and a beat to it at this point too.
Thank you. Thanks for
Before,
asking the
oh, it's
question.
so fun. Before I leave you, it's completely other end of the spectrum, kind of. I want to talk to you a little bit about Tailor Made Night at the Barracks, which is coming up.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be good. I mean, it's gonna be good to catch up with the galleys. See Lisa. I can't wait to see Lisa and Alex the astronaut. Like, yeah, they're just good crew, good
Good
mob.
crew belting out the Taylor tracks. Can I ask you, is there like, did you get to pick your favorite? Did you all put your hands up
Well, if I
or
can be honest, like, and I'm sorry, like, no hate to the Swift fans, but like, I like her older stuff. I'm not really like a big fan of her new stuff. Like, I feel like yeah, her storytelling is interesting back then because it's coming from a place of like, I don't know, like this bittersweet innocence. I don't know if that makes sense.
yeah?
Like, yeah, it's really beautiful storytelling and songwriting. And yeah, it's just yeah, it's gonna be good. I feel like every time we do it, it kind of goes off and everyone goes hard. Like, they go hard and they go home. Like, it's really cool.
As they should. As they should. I think this is fabulous. Everyone, if you missed it, or even if you didn't miss it, the Eros, like no one made it. I don't know how. There was a lot of tickets, but no one made it. So this is your next chance, but then you get to be there with Emily and a ton of other legendary women tailor-made for Night at the Barracks. So do check it out. Emily, it is honestly been such a delight chatting with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. Listeners, you just heard a nugget of it, but Emily Wurramara's new album, Nara, is out now. You can buy it, download it, stream it, all platforms. And please check out the visuals because they're next level as well. Before we go, quick reminder, issue 16 of Women in Pop magazine with Jennifer Lopez on the cover is out right now and features interviews with Griff, Ricky Lee, Upsall, Emily Wurramara, and more. You can buy your copy now at a news agency near you or at womeninpop.com/subscribe. Thank you for listening today. Until next time, from Emily and myself, goodbye.
Thank you.